facing, reframing, and redirecting fear. Navigating fear can feel like treading through a mental quicksand when we don't know how to manage it. Let's understand fear better. Fear is ego-based and it arises to protect and preserve what we love and are attached to. However, we have learned to make the concept of fear much larger than we need to. We have attached too much importance to it, exaggerating the scary aspects of it in our minds and often allowing it to run, rule, and even ruin our lives if we are unaware. Unchecked, fear can perpetuate us to tell mental stories about what might happen in the future, which do not exist at all. It can keep us stuck in a loop of negative memories, of past events, paralyzing us and not allowing us to move forward or even take risks. When we're absorbed by fear that past situations may resurface or reoccur, we not only deplete our energy but also sabotage our present moment. Unaware of our own power, we may lose faith in our abilities and stay stuck in our lives, missing out on all of life's adventures and opportunities. It's important to note that the moment we project anxiety about the future, we have already stepped out of the present moment. The only place we can begin to face, reframe, and even redirect fear is in the present moment. In order to face fear, we first have to increase our energy levels, which in turn enhances our awareness. This way, we can learn to bring our mind back into the present moment, where we can modify our perceptions and understanding of fear. When we can see it more objectively, we start seeing the value of fear, which it provides in our lives, and we can then put it into perspective. We can use it kind of like a guiding force and even make it our ally. We can listen to it for warnings it offers and embrace it as a natural aspect of life without letting it run, ruin, or even rule our lives. This balanced view and understanding can help us make more significant progress in our personal growth and in development. Another aspect we have to keep in mind is that when we are consumed with fear, we abandon faith in ourselves and our inner sense of security. We remain stuck and stagnant without trust in ourselves, in others, and the world at large. When we cannot manage our fears, it can wreak havoc on our daily functioning. We might experience the following: fear that makes us feel weak, trapped, helpless, and even paralyzed. Fear can cloud our judgment. It can shrink our confidence. Fear scatters our emotions, preventing us from making sound decisions. Fear can prevent us from taking risks. Fear releases cortisol, the stress hormone in the body, damaging organs and our immunity. Fear contracts our consciousness. It also has that tremendous detrimental effect on our health. Some of the negative effects of fear include weakened immune system, cardiovascular damage, gastrointestinal problems such as ulcers or irritable bowel syndrome, decreased fertility, accelerated aging, premature death, and even immune system dysfunction. We need to befriend fear. In order to change this perception that fear is bad or scary, we need to retrain our brains and be aware when a situation comes up. And then when we're triggered with fear, we don't need to try and eliminate fear, but learn to redirect it and place it where it needs to in order for us to flourish and move on. This way, we are more in control and we work with it. Practicing meditation fosters a sense of confidence and inner safety. When we're able to trust ourselves and take risks that we would not have taken otherwise, it not only helps us identify what triggers the fear, but it also allows us to mindfully disrupt this tendency to sabotage our present with the disproportionate amounts of fear. With heightened awareness, we can reframe old scenarios, taking the learning, if any, and release old fears. When we can appreciate the value it brings into our life, we can take a more balanced approach towards it. And very rightly, as Sri Ravi Shankar ji says, if you have a little fear, relax. Like salt in the food, a little fear is essential for you to be righteous. For example, fear of death preserves life. Fear of punishment maintains order. Fear of failing keeps us late at night studying. Fear can indicate you are moving out of your comfort zone. Fear can signal to us to move away from something when it's harmful. Fear of sickness prompts us to practice good food habits, health habits. Fear of bad finances pushes us towards discipline in spending. Fear of loss prompts us to value others. The practice of meditation also activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, which is associated with concentration, planning, and decision making. It can shrink the amygdala, which is connected with fear and negative emotions. With a meditative mind or state, we can quickly come out of this panic or fear and move into a very more logical way of addressing and understanding situations. With this awareness, we can cut off or short circuit that fear response, feeling calmer and more in control. We need to learn to talk to fear, put it in its place, and take charge of our life and narrative, bringing perspective to our fears. Let's examine our fears. They're often connected to what other people think of us. Observation is paramount in bringing a shift in our energy, which causes a shift in our emotions. The next set of questions I provide will help us take a closer look at our fears and bring objectivity to the situation. Asking questions when we're triggered with fear helps us to be present, more realistic, and gives us clarity and a balanced perspective on the situation. This can tremendously help us with responding appropriately in a situation versus reacting. Ask yourself, is this situation life-threatening? Which past events is this fear connected to? What is the emotion of fear doing to my mind and body? What is this fear indicating to me? How has this fear become an impediment in my life? Which thoughts of mine are fueling this fear? What would my life look like without fear, or if I could redirect my fears? Let's remind ourselves that the memory of fear is usually bigger than the fear of executing the action. We have learned to trust fear more than our ability and courage to bounce back and be resilient should we fail or fall. Unless we are present to take that chance, we'll never know if that girl says yes, or if the boss gives us a promotion, or if moving to a new country will be the greatest change we've ever made for our lives. We will remain unfulfilled and our potential will remain unexplored. If we collect regrets, we haven't really lived at all. We've come to make a beautiful life story full of color and tasty experiences. It's important to consciously move fear in the backseat when you need to stay focused on your goals, dreams, aspirations. Let's ask ourselves a few questions. If we could take a chance on ourselves and believe ourselves to be resilient, who would we love? What would we share with the world? Where would you go? Keep asking yourself, what would life look like if you knew you could get through this crisis? What if your fears just an illusion? What if these fears were disguised as opportunities to grow a new skill set, follow your dreams, or be the best version of yourself? Would you pay bigger, leap higher, dare to jump out of the box and do what you were meant to do? If so, what would you be doing? Who and what is stopping you? Reframe fear. When we don't label fear as bad or an emotion we have to avoid, we can change our understanding and our relationship to it. We have to change our mental conversation with it. When we experience fear, we also experience doubts. We have to consciously shift our doubts from what if I fail to what if I succeed. Look back into the past and see there were times you were fearful, but you were still able to move through it. Just that we simply have forgotten that we were able to do it every time we were scared. We pushed our way through fear and went for that job, or we studied for that examination, and even though we were shivering and scared to death, we did it. We need to use that muscle of memory, of going through the scary events and getting through them. We need to let it drive us forward into possibilities, to explore our potential. Our spirit rejoices when we believe in ourselves, when take a chance on ourselves, when we bet on ourselves. It's the leaping into the unknown that makes us stronger, bolder, and outstanding. We need to keep consciously moving fear to the back wheel of our bicycle and place courage and passion on the front wheel. This way we can keep both and pedal forward. Surrendering our fears. This is one of the most effective ways to manage our fears, and yet so difficult for so many. What we cannot do through all our efforts, we can offer to a higher force, the divine, the universe. First, let's understand what it means to surrender. Someone fearful cannot surrender. Why? Because it takes love, courage, and trust to surrender. Only in a state of absolute trust can we offer our fears. To whom we surrender is not important, but having that quality of consciousness and that state of mind demonstrates how fearless we are. The moment we offer our fears, we begin to move out of them, allowing a larger dimension of life to open up to us. When we drop the stresses and anxiety, we can experience a lightness of being, an expansion of spirit, and a connection to the higher forces which are looking after us. We allow for miracles to happen when we lean into this faith. We can rest from this doership state where we think we are running the show and making things happen, to understanding that there is a higher power running this creation. When we place our trust and surrender our fears, we allow our mind to move from a panic to a calm state of mind. When we are calm and aware, we can operate from inner strength, clarity, and confidence. So in conclusion, fear doesn't have to scare us or control us. By enhancing our awareness, changing our perceptions, and better understanding its value, we can work with it to face, reframe, and redirect our fears. We can cultivate a practice to surrender what we cannot handle to that higher power which operates from a place of faith and confidence. Remember, you are the driver of your destiny, and how you respond in life situations determines the quality of the life you lead. We want to embrace the journey ahead, and your life is meant to be a vibrant, colorful story filled with growth, expansion, joy, and courage.